Okay, so now we're out here in the yard where we're going to do our dry fire practice. One thing to keep in mind is following the basic gun safety rules, and that's treating your gun like it's loaded. Obviously, making sure there's no ammo or anything in the gun, being aware of your target, what's behind it. So what I do is I've actually got two of the targets that I use for long range shooting, and I've got those faced that direction. I've got houses to the left and to the right, but behind me there's pretty dense woods, bushes, trees, a fence, and then back behind that is actually a storage place. But the storage place has this huge concrete wall and barrier all the way around it. So that's my safest place. So the first thing you want to do, obviously, make sure the gun's unloaded, the magazine's unloaded. I've got a spare magazine to add to the drill that we're going to be doing today. So just be safe and make sure you're following those rules. So what I'm going to do today is I've got two targets. One is, I believe, 6 inches. The other one is a 4-inch target. So we're going to practice our 5-point draw and then getting on target, having our sights lined up, so that rear sight and that front sight. Now typically the way I do this is I'll practice it until I can get it out perfect, and then I'm perfectly on target. So pull, perfect on target, right? Lining up those sights, focus on the front sight. You want to use your peripheral vision so you can be aware of your surroundings as well as your target, but you're focusing on that front sight when you're engaging your target. So we're going to practice that, and then the next thing, and we need to do all this together, because what I don't want to happen is practicing one thing and then adding this other element into it. So that other element is your full surrounding. So left, right, what's beyond the target, and actually what's behind you. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our 5-point draw. We're going to be focusing on our grip, the target, getting on target, taking that shot, and then we need to look around us to make sure there's no other threat, nobody coming from behind us, to the left, to the right, making sure if there's other people around that they're not a threat to us, but then getting back on target and making sure that that target is down and no longer a threat to us before we put our firearm away. So let's practice that real quick. Okay, so that's kind of what that's going to look like. You're going to look around every single time and make sure that there's not some other target or other threat to you or your family or anyone else around you. If there was a situation where there's multiple people, there may be one guy coming in front of you and another guy somewhere else behind you to do something else to distract you. So always be aware of your surroundings, 360 awareness as much as possible at all times. So let's go through the drill a couple times with actually pulling the trigger, getting on target, looking around, and then putting our firearm back up. Okay. Okay, so the next step to this would be adding some sort of simulated stress, right? So the next step would be, once you get that down where you're comfortable getting on target, especially like a larger target, the best way to introduce stress is physical activity. So a run, right? So my backyard is actually 50 yards. For camera purposes this time, I'm not gonna run, but that's another way is, do something where you can do push-ups, do some sit-ups, just 10 real fast, get your heart rate up, and then practice that drill. That's going to be probably the closest thing you can do to induce some stress, or really pump it up. Drop down 10-15 push-ups, run, come back, 10-15 push-ups, get up, and then engage your target. And then once you start getting where you're comfortable with that, move to a smaller target, and then start adding in some reload drills as well. So let's kind of go over what that looks like real quick. Okay, so basically what I did there, and I did mess up a little bit, drew the firearm, got on target, pulled the trigger, and then did a reload, checked everything out, make sure my surroundings were okay, and got back on target just to make sure my target was still not a threat, and then put the firearm away. So I'm going to call this one quits. Dogs are getting a little rowdy. We'll come back to this and do another video and get back into some other things we can add to this.